صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, dearest sisters. I'm Sabah Altaf and I welcome you back to our Quran conceptual study of Quran sessions. I hope and pray that you and your families are well, keeping safe, and you are also enjoying this beautiful spell of weather. Inshallah, we should be resuming our session with the Tilawat. And if you remember that we are doing Surah Baqarah throughout the month, I'm going to invite Sister Amna Shahzad. Sister Amna is from Edinburgh, and Sister Amna has been studying Quran over 5 years, mashallah. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Amna.
Wa alaikum assalam. And
yes, inshallah, I'm going to mute my mic, and you will let us know which ayats you're going to recite of Surah Baqarah, inshallah. Bismillah.
inshallah, I will be reciting ayahs 47 to 59 of Surah Baqarah. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا بني إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأني فضلتكم على العالمين. واتقوا يوما لا تجزي نفس عن نفس شيئا ولا يقبل منها شفاعة ولا يؤخذ منها عدل ولا هم ينصرون. وإذ نجيناكم من آل فرعون يسومونكم سوء العذاب يذبحون أبناءكم ويستحيون نساءكم وفي ذلكم بلاء من ربكم عظيم. وإذ فرقنا بكم البحر فأنجيناكم وأغرقنا آل فرعون وأنتم تنظرون. وإذ واعدنا موسى 40 ليلة ثم اتخذتم العجل من بعده وأنتم ظالمون. ثم عفونا عنكم من بعد ذلك لعلكم تشكرون. وإذ آتينا موسى الكتاب والفرقان لعلكم تهتدون. وإذ قال موسى لقومه يا قوم إنكم ظلمتم أنفسكم باتخاذكم العجل فتوبوا إلى بارئكم فقتلوا أنفسكم ذلكم خير لكم عند بارئكم فتاب عليكم إنه هو التواب الرحيم. وإذ قلتم يا موسى لن نؤمن لك حتى نرى الله جهرة فأخذتكم الصاعقة وأنتم تنظرون. ثم بعثناكم من بعد موتكم لعلكم تشكرون. وظللنا عليكم الغمام وأنزلنا عليكم المن والسلوى كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم وما ظلمونا ولكن كانوا أنفسهم يظلمون. وإذ قلنا ادخلوا هذه القرية فكلوا منها حيث شئتم رغدا وادخلوا الباب سجدا وقولوا حطة نغفر لكم خطاياكم وسنزيد المحسنين فبدل الذين ظلموا قولا غير الذي قيل لهم فأنزلنا على الذين ظلموا رجزا من السماء بما كانوا يفسقون. O children of Israel, remember my favor which I bestowed upon you, and that I preferred you to the Alameen. And fear a day of judgment when a person shall not avail another, nor will intercession be accepted from him, nor will compensation be taken from him, nor will they be helped. And remember when we delivered you from Pharaoh's people, who were afflicting you with a horrible torment, killing your sons and sparing your women, and therein was a mighty trial from your Lord. And remember when we separated the sea for you, and saved you and drowned Pharaoh's people while you were looking at them, when the sea water covered them. And remember when we appointed for Musa 40 nights, and in his absence you took the calf for worship, and you were Zalimun. Then after that we forgave you so that you might be grateful. And remember when we gave Musa the scripture, the Tawrat, and the criterion of right and wrong, so that you might be guided. And remember when Musa said to his people, O my people, verily you have wronged yourselves by worshipping the calf. So turn in repentance to your Creator and kill yourselves. The innocent kill the wrongdoers among you. That will be better for you with your Lord. Then he accepted your repentance. Truly, he is the one who accepts repentance, the most merciful. And remember when you said, O Musa, we shall never believe in you till we see Allah plainly, but you were seized with a thunderbolt while you were looking. Then we raised you up after your death, so that you might be grateful, and we shaded you with clouds, and sent down al-manna and the quails, saying, Eat of the good lawful things we have provided for you. But they rebelled, and they did not wrong us, but they wronged themselves. And remember when we said, Enter this town, Jerusalem, and eat bountifully therein with pleasure and delight wherever you wish, and enter the gate in prostration, or bowing with humility, and say, Forgive us, and we shall forgive you your sins, and shall increase reward for the good doers. But those who did wrong changed the word from that which had not been told to them for another. So we sent upon the wrongdoers Rijzan, a punishment from the heaven because of their rebelling against Allah's obedience. Sadaqallahul Azim.
MashaAllah, Jazakumullah khair. Sister Amna, beautiful recitation. May Allah reward you. My dear sisters, we have been attending these beautiful sessions together since a week now, Alhamdulillah. And by now, you all know how we are presenting these sessions, that each topic is presented. Of course, we are studying Quran in a totally different manner than what we are used to. We are picking a topic and then we analyze it, what concept it has within the contemporary world, and what are the cultural views, and specifically the Muslim cultural views, and then what does Quran say about it? What is the concept of Quran about that topic? And that has been very enlightening for me, and I'm sure it must be for you. We're going to learn what today's topic is, but first of all, we're going to invite today's speaker. Her name is Dr. Arifa Khan. She is a medical doctor and have been affiliated with UK Islamic Mission over 15 years, mashallah. She has done various courses on Islamic studies, including Quranic studies and Arabic language. So I'm going to welcome you, Dr. Arifa. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you very well. How are you?
Yeah. Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. Jazakallah khair for inviting me again. I had a session in the morning as well.
I know you've been a very brave girl. You've done a whole session in the morning and then straight in the afternoon, and may Allah make it easy and may Allah reward you. I'm looking forward to hear you. What is your topic today?
It's concept of family.
MashaAllah. Okay, that's a very important for us. So I'm going to mute my mic and you can start. Bismillah.
Right. So as you can see, it's the concept of family in Islam. We had been doing all presentations since last week, and we had been doing concept of hearing, and then objectives of Quran, and then we had done Ikram Takreem Insaniyat as well. All these presentations, inshallah, and the presentations which are going to come later on, we are following a theme for all these presentations. Just wanted to know if anybody and my concept of family also comes in the same theme. I just wanted to know that have you recognized the theme? If somebody could message in the chat box that what is the theme which we are discussing, taking throughout this program.
Yes, I mean, I gave them already a big hint myself. So, yes, but we would like to ask the audience by now, what do you understand by all this, the way we are presenting it? So, if anybody is brave enough to come forward and tell us how we are doing it, what is the system that you have learned so far? How are we linking these topics? You can unmute yourself, sisters. Hello. I can't see
Anybody? No?
No.
I'll try. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'll take a shot at it. Please correct me if I get it wrong, but I think it's this idea of that we are the Khalifa on this earth, and we are essentially all these themes and all these topics are linking us on how we should practice and how we should live our lives practically. And it's all we'll be learning it all through the Quran directly, and then the other cultural and contemporary ideas are showing us how it's been viewed nowadays and culturally, and how we should differentiate from that and focus on the Quran.
MashaAllah. Yes. Yes.
Jazakallah khair. Yeah, Jazakallah khair. Yeah, that's what exactly it is.
There's a comment here by Sister Farhana, contemporary, cultural, and Islamic perspective. Yes, that's true. That's very right. So, over to you.
Yeah, it's going to be. We are going to cover the family concept of family from three concepts. One is contemporary. One is going to be our cultural thing, and then we are going to discuss about the Quranic aspect. So my second question is, how can we connect? Because it's going, but basically the concept of family, I'm going to discuss about the two relationships, because there are many relationships. There are between parents and relatives and everything. But we are going to discuss with two relationships, that is husband and wife, and then children. Because why I say husband and wife is an important relationship, because Adam and Hawa, they were husband and wife, and they were sent down to earth with the message of Khilafat, to spread the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over this land. And they were sent as viceroys or Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how can we tie this concept with the concept of nikah? Why nikah is important for us as a Khalifa? I would say, rephrase it.
as a viceroy on this
Yeah,
earth.
exactly. Yes,
Yes, as
yes.
a viceroy
Jazakallah.
on this
Now,
earth.
I've got
Why?
another question.
Yeah, hold
When
on. We're
you,
gonna
yeah,
we're gonna first tackle with this question. I mean, I know that sometimes it takes few minutes for everybody to understand the question and then assemble in their mind what they're going to answer.
yes,
But the whole
yeah,
idea
inshallah.
is we learn from each other, so there is no competition going on. I mean,
No,
many times I
yeah,
don't answer, and I learn it from some of the sisters who typed or who just told us. So don't be shy.
yeah.
Is
If
there anybody who wants to unmute
mhm.
their mic and talk about it? I'll go and check if there's any comment. So the question
Let me
is,
rephrase it again.
yes.
I'll make things. I'll give them a hint. Let's say that you see. If you could bear with me just a second.
So I understood the question as a viceroy sent to this earth by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why we have to have this marriage contract between a man and a woman. This is what I understood.
Yeah,
Why can't we
yeah,
live without that? Am I right?
that's right. And one more
Yeah.
thing is, yes, you're right. If I rephrase it, that when you see a married house, when there is marriage going on in a family, see you see in your relatives, in your neighbors. So what does you see from that family? How do you perceive that family? They're going to be their daughter is going to be married like in a week's time.
Okay, there is a comment saying to make it halal commitment.
Yes, okay.
I put my hand up. Sorry, I'm just
Yes,
waiting
yeah,
for
it's a
someone.
very good
You
try,
can just
mashallah.
unmute. You can
I was
just
just,
unmute.
Jazakallah khair.
can you hear me? Yeah, I was just going to say, is it that it's the foundation and the start of it
Yes,
building onto? So you start off with the rights and duties of a husband and wife, and then that builds to the family, and then onto society. So that is like the basis, the foundation of it.
I think you've got the first part right, that it's the foundation of the
Mm-hmm.
Muslim society, and it's you're spot on, Jazakallah khair, because it is the basic unit of an Islamic society. So as a Khalifa, we have to make Islamic. We are going to work towards making a Islamic society, and that society's basic unit is the couple who are married together with nikah, with the contract of nikah. So we cannot have that married society without any other way. Like you cannot have couples who are living together, or you can't have couples who are gay or who are involved in an incest, like married to relatives. You can't have it any other way. So it has to that the couples are united together with the contract of nikah. And that's why what happens, that the devil himself, he hugs the one, his helper, who makes a fight between a married husband and wife, because that's the way he wants to break it. And that's why quite a big part of Quran has divided its portions to give us rulings, how to save this contract, how to save this family, how to save this marriage between husband and wife. Now, if you see, like, again, I'll ask the same question. It's another question, that if you see someone getting married, what is the common things they do nowadays? Like there's going to be a wedding. What would you do? What do you see?
Um, if you can slightly rephrase it or repeat it again,
Uh,
Dr. Arfa.
yeah. It's like, when you see people getting married nowadays, what comes to your mind? How they're
Oh, all
behaving,
right.
how they're interacting, what they are busy in doing.
Yeah, celebrating it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So the most important thing is that they are like celebrating, like you said, they are getting ready for the dresses, they are getting ready for the hall, and getting ready for the meals. So basically they're preparing for the wedding, but they're missing the marriage. So in that part, if you're really concerned, you know how important contract you're going to be performing as a Khalifa, and this is your time to start a family, you would be considering on reading Surah Baqarah, going through the parts of Surah Noor, making lots of du'as to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, going through a course or anything to get yourself to know more how you can work on this relationship. But sadly, we just focus on wedding. So the take home message is that, like, it's important for us to realize how important nikah is in a Muslim society, right? And so, like I said, it's the single unit, like single atom of which builds up the Muslim society. And now, if you could see, I've tied it up. Nikah, single society, a single unit. It picks up the whole Muslim society, and it to fulfill our duty as a Khalifatullah. Like Nietzsche said, that he's a French philosopher. He said, "He who has a why to live can bear with almost any how." So it's once you know why are you here for, then whatever challenges comes in your way, you will be able to sort them. You will be able to, walk on them. But if you don't know what is in it, then of course you won't be able to perform as Allah has, made you to do it. Now, if we come to the contemporary dimension, um, when when things are getting bad, like if you look at our society, at our weddings, at our couples, they're not going right. Yeah, there are things which are going wrong. There are more divorce. People are unhappy. So what we have to do at this time is that we have to redefine our purpose. We have to know our purpose in clarity. We have to redefine our cause, and then we have to look at the principles laid out by Quran, how to improve our society. Then the most important thing with this is that we have to have a strong connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then we have to have a helper home, helping family who are supportive in our mission. We have a same mission. And then we are Bunyanum Ursus, that is joined together. So there are four, sometimes we look at the stories of Quran and we see that, there are stories, but basically there are four major stories in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the whole concept of the purpose of creation. It's the story of Adam. It's the story of Ibrahim. It's the story of Musa, and to a certain extent, story of Isa. So it clarifies that. And then the story of Adam, which is the most important, has been mentioned in Quran 7 times. Sahaba used to recite Quran, finish Quran in 7 days. And the story of Adam is situated at a certain position in Quran. So each day they used to go through the story of Adam. So that is, they're revising or revisiting their purpose in life every day. Now, what is the basic theme behind the purpose of living of the modern day family? What are the values on which it is based? It's in front of you, and if you could, even if your chat box, if you could see what is the basic theme. It's
There's a message here saying only themselves.
Yes, Jazakallah khair. Exactly. So it is
Only here for
it's not a we mentality, it's a me mentality. And they say, I'll do what I like to do. I'm doing it because I want to do it. And another concept, which is a Western principle, is that everything which is new is better. Everything which is old is not good. So this is totally different from the concept of Islam, because our values will still be the same values throughout the day, throughout years, and throughout this whole time in our world, because these are the values set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, people, they marry because they like it, whatever they like. People, even the parents who marry the children, do whatever they like. It's their choices. And then when the children get married, they focus more on their partners, on their family, and less on their parents and extended family. People are easily living nowadays without getting married. Single mothers are common, and they are there are couples who are involved in incest. There are couples who are gray. So it's everywhere that people do what they like, and then they are more because of women's right, which is a concept, a latest concept. The people believe that women believe that they should career more on their, they should be focus more on their careers, and it's the most important thing to them, more important than their own families. So being a dentist is more important than being a wife. And this shows that there is no bigger value working there. There's no bigger value there. And then there's another trend that people are exhibit extremes of behavior. So they are passionate about things. It might be wrong, it might be right, but then what happens that there's no big value involved in it. So they might like to sing, they might like to be a mountain climber. Some are, they're clean fanatics. They like to clean things a lot. And there's extremes of, and then there's another extreme, in which like Stephen Covey says, the people are oriented. So they might be job oriented. And then what happens, when they're job oriented, the other things become less important. So if someone is job oriented, his or her family will take a secondary position. If it's he's family oriented, then his social life and his other things will take a lower position. Some people are holiday oriented, so they live from holidays to holiday. And then there are people who are hobby oriented. Their hobbies are most important things to me. Like some people like cycling, so they are in cycling all the time. And it's just they want to do what they want to do. Can someone say us, by looking at this picture, what comes to mind, that what results we see because of this me mentality? Yeah.
Does any
What results? What is the
okay.
what our
It is an answer. Greed, selfishness, greed.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I had in mind. That it's greed, selfishness. People are selfish, and what happens basically, that promiscuity, behayai, fahash, fosha, it's very common. You can, when you go out now, it's summer now. It would be very very obvious in the streets. It's very common theme in the social media. People have, you see single mothers all the time. The government is supporting them. There are multiple, each one, it's very easy for anyone to have multiple partners because they have very shallow relationships. And then there's if they get married, which is very rare, they end up in divorce. And then there's this app which is called a Tinder app. It's so easy to get partners that you download that app and then you scroll through and you go through the biodata and the picture, and you can take the partner from there. So it's just very, partner is like something you can have, like you buy things. And then the social media depicts other people's lives very beautifully. And what is sorry, I'll just go it now. The concept of happiness has become, money is the concept of happiness, in luxuries. So what happens? People are in buying expensive cars, expensive things, designer clothes. It's just something with this go on and on. It's summer now, and you would see everywhere in B&Q. If you go, you would see on social media, you would see things are advertising about things you can do outside, like cycling, gardening, ponds. It's so many things you can do outside. Outside activities are there, so you would be involved in that. And when winter comes, what is inside? You need to paint the house, you need to redo the kitchen, and things like that. It's just you. The purpose is to keep you busy, keep you earning, keep you spending. So relationships, the things are more important than relationships. It's like you are running in a track. When you open your eyes, everybody was running in a track. So you started running in the track. You just follow everybody. Somebody asking you why you are running. Yeah, like everybody is running. So I'm running. Why you do? So it's just we are following people blindly. We don't stop to think of ourselves. Then the thing is that the concept of charity. So what happens that people do give charity, but they put their preference on one of the things, one of the charities, and then they leave the other thing. For example, if somebody is in social services or social work, looking after a carer, then they would focus on that and they would leave the other parts, like, you know, about the dawah or about the upbringing of the children or worship. And likewise, if they are in dawah, then they would stop the charity, they would pay very little attention to ibadah, their children. And if somebody are focused on their family and children, then they leave everything else. So it's just things which are going on. And then we have rituals. We have rituals in our culture also, but we have rituals in our contemporary life as well. Can somebody tell me what are the rituals in our contemporary lives? We see nowadays people following. Anybody? Hello, Sabah? Sabah? Okay.
Yeah. Latest fashions.
Yes. Yeah. No, what I mean that, we have rituals or, celebrations, but we have celebrations in our Asian culture, but we have celebrations in our contemporary life, in day-to-day life. You see people doing different celebrations. What are they? If you could, anybody write in the chat box, then,
Yeah, there are some celebrations that become part of our lives. Mother Days, birthdays. They're
yes.
saying birthday.
Yeah.
Birthday is number one. Anniversaries.
Like, yes, very good, Anne. Yes, spot on.
Yeah, I
And
think
they've got new things coming up, Sabah, like baby showers, then Valentines. It's
yes, yes.
it's so many
Weddings,
things
baby
going on.
shower. Yeah,
Everybody's yeah.
yeah. Baby shower. Sisters are mentioning baby shower, hen nights, extravagant
Yeah,
weddings. Yes.
yeah.
Um,
Jazakallah. I have to write that because I had forgotten about the henna nights because it's so common. They've got so many things going on before Eid celebrations, and everything is at the top. So it's just because our social media wants us to be enjoying, keeping busy, having a party time always. So it's just we are just keep busy in these things, but we forget the true values and meaningful life. We don't know about it. Uh, then if I go to cultural dimension, if I would include our Pakistani and Asian culture in back home and in UK. It's just because in contemporary lifestyle, people are following what they want to do, right? But in our culture, people follow what their parents did, and they are so stuck on it. Whatever you do, they won't budge from that. So they just would follow blindly what their parents are doing. What and then I'll just turn on this slide. Yes. So you have a good look at these things. So what happens that they're very common themes. The boys are given preference over girls. The sisters are less than boys. Brothers. The sisters don't get any inheritance. There's common fights between in-laws. Daughter-in-law is fighting mother-in-law, sister-in-laws, and vice versa. Then there are family disputes, family fights. You won't see a single family who are happy all together living and know everybody is speaking to everybody. So it's just people are very hard on each other. And like somebody said, very selfish. And then when they're people hard and selfish and with each other in the close relationships, what happens that they're deprived of their emotional needs. They are not recognized, not understood, they are oppressed. So what happens then when they get married, they're unable to maintain a normal, healthy married relationships. And that's why the families break down because husbands' emotional needs haven't been fulfilled as well as the wives, and they just, fighting with each other all the time. And what happens that whoever has the power will rule. So if it's in-laws who have power, then their in-laws are ruling. If the family wives have the power, then wives are ruling. So it's just common for anybody who has power to be ruling. And then there are forced marriages, why people marry in the family. It's just because it's the culture to marry in the family. So they want to marry in the family, and then they want to marry at high status. They don't want to marry people from lower status. And then there's a big preference on beauty, that they look for beautiful spouses, which is like, which makes the marriage even more difficult. And people then don't get married till late, because, and this is a basic problem in our Asian marriages that we are facing, that there's so many wrong priorities which can't be fulfilled, and that's why they're unable to find spouses. And then when they find spouses, they're very difficult to maintain a very happy relationship. So and then another problem is fixed mindset. With this I mean that they do whatever the family is doing. If it's a joint family system, so although there are going to be a lot of fight, there are going to be big, issues of parda, haya, still they insist on living together. And then they spend in, they have, like I said, they've done PhD in spending in the wrong places. So they will give cars, a dowry, they will give cars and dresses, but they don't spend in the right places. And then people are fighting the language they're using, it's hurting people, it's injuring people, but it's just going on. People are deceiving in the marriages. And then there is another problem in our Asian culture, and is that we have got a big motivation to help our family back home in Pakistan and India. But what happens, the close family living here, we ignore them, and then we cover the families who are back home. So what's happened? The relationship is strained. And then what happens when the people back home get money? They stop working. The children upbringing is affected. The children are no longer working. So basically, we are having a disturbed family here, and we're creating a disturbed family back home. And then this is and it's despite that we are giving families back home, but still what happens that we don't have the right values, because if you see Muslims, the cheating is common, tax cheating, tax evasion is common. It's very easy for anyone to take undue social benefits. It's just so common. We see every day people doing it in our community. And then we see where people are living, Muslims are in majority. We look at the areas which are not very clean. They're not they're not kept in a good condition. The gardens are unkept. If you just and that's our common theme which you see. And then the last thing which I would say is the concept of religion. It's very vague. People who came from Pakistan initially, they make masjids. Even people here, born here, they may make masjids. But masjids are mostly empty, except for Fridays. Mostly the people coming to the masjid are retired, and it's just their main focus is going for the salah 5 times. They read Quran without any translation, so they don't understand Quran at all. So what happens basically is that we had been taken out by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to serve, and we are just what we are doing. We are serving ourselves, and this is our purpose. We have forgotten our purpose. Now, if I go to the Quranic dimension of a family, I would say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent us with tools. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down Adam and Hawa, who were the first couple to this earth with the guidance. And I've included the tools which are Salah, Dua, Pious Company, Efforts, and Reward System. I've missed out on one tool. Can somebody say what is the tool which I missed out on? Yeah. Anybody? So we've got the tools of Salah, we've got the tool of Dua, a Pious Company.
There is a tool I can guess, but I want to ask the sisters, please. Anybody?
Divine guidance. It's a hint, big hint. Sabah, you go on then.
Maybe mine is wrong after giving your hint. I was thinking of charity, of
All
the
right.
feeling of sharing as well. Is
Yeah,
that's self purification. That's tazkiya. So I thought
yeah.
that. But what's yours?
It's the divine guidance is Quran. So throughout
Oh,
the
yeah, of
our
course.
yeah throughout our stay in this world, we had been given different guidance from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So Quran is the last book, but we had books before that as well throughout our life in this world. But yes, so there's divine guidance, and then there is Salah. So Salah is the first thing because this is the relationship in when you're going to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is your way to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say that Salah is the coolness of my eyes. And whenever he had this any problem, he used to run to Salah. He used to run and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even at the time of Battle of Badr, when before the battle started, he was praying at night and he was saying, Allah, I've taken out the people who believe you here, they are here. And if they are done, if they die, then there would be anyone to take your name. And he was crying and he was pleading Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on the next day of Badr, the angels descended. And there was a grand victory. It's called Yom Furqan, which is the separator of right and wrong, subhanallah. So Salah has a very strong power in it. That's why we pray it 5 times a day. So we get connected to Allah and through our cause 5 times a day, each day. And then there is dua. And what I say about dua, it's fatir. When the quality of Allah is fatir, is that Allah creates things with out of nothing. So the dimensions of dua increases. It's an excellent framework for our psyche given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you would see people who pray more, connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, connect to God more. Even Christians, they fare well than people who are atheists because they lose hope. But the people who are connected with Allah or connected with God don't lose hope. And it's a very important tool for us to use during our venture as a Khalifatullah. Then, being a Khalifa, we need other people, other viceroys also to aid us, and that is Sulha, the pious people. When we read Surah Fatiha, it says Sirat al Lazina Anamta alayhim. It doesn't say Sirat al Kitab. This means the path of the people you have gifted, but not part of the book, because then you would be able to follow people. That's why the people are important. And in Surah Kahf, you read wasbir nafsaka, that you stick yourself, you tie yourself with the people who are wasbir nafsaka, who call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala day and night, and who wants the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you have to stick with them. So they are sort of your mentors. What happens is that when you stick with them, you learn to copy their good things, how they're carrying out their mission, and then you learn from it there. And we have to be a mentor for our children as well. But first, we have to find mentors for ourselves, and then in later stage, we can become mentors of our parents. And then it says effort and reward system. It's sorry, I forgot to mention one another thing, which is a tool, is fasting. The most important thing to conquer is ourselves, and fasting gives us that self confidence which we need to control ourselves from the false desires. And then we come to effort and reward system. It's a system which has been discussed in detail in Quran, and it is holding hearts, sending angels, and help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Holding heart is that when we are on a mission, and when sometimes we need to sacrifice, because when you are out to serve as a Khalifa, the difficulties will come to you, and you would need the direct support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what Allah does sometimes, that if you put a little effort, if you start thinking about it, and then you are putting an effort as well, Allah will hold you. And that is Allah will hold your heart. And it is like same thing happened with the people of cave, Ashabi Kahf. What happened that وَرَبَطْنَا عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ إِذْ that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hold their hearts when they stood. So what they just did, a very small step, they stood up, and then Allah hold their heart. And when mother of Musa put Musa alayhi salam in the sea, what happened? Her heart was just gave away. She was going to reveal the secret, and then Allah gave her, hold her heart, and gave her the support she needed. Sometimes we need that support in our daily life to carry out or execute our principle, our designation as a Khalifa, to execute the right thing. It does need a lot of courage, sacrifice. I mean, the simple things in our day-to-day life we need to sacrifice, and this at this point we need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hold our hearts. So this is the thing that, but the initial step, the effort you have to do is the requirement. So you start thinking, you start taking baby steps, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will run to you. And the second help, it comes in the form of angels. The people, there's an ayah in Quran, it says that the people, when they say, God is our Rabb, and then they stand fast, then angels descend on them, and they said, don't worry, we are with you. And they gave them the glad tidings of Jannah. And this is the support of the angels they get. And can somebody tell me what were the times in mentioned in Quran when the angels descended on people? I would say, anybody just if message me. Um, there were times of wars when the angels descended. What wars were there?
Oh, I've been talking while my mic was
All right. So,
yes, I've been talking all the time. I didn't realize it. I think it says Battle of Badr,
yeah, definitely.
and
Jazakallah.
gathering
Yes.
in, yeah, and
And
one is saying when gathering in remembrance of Allah.
Subhanallah, Jazakallah, excellent. Yes. And there was another battle also, which is mentioned in
Yes,
Surah Al
another
Imran.
battle. If anybody remembers that battle, starting with H, Hunain.
No, it was also that it was the Jangi Uhud, the Battle of Uhud, and then there was the victory of Hudaybiyah. Also, that they were angels. So Allah Subhanahu wa Taala's angels were there with them all the time, helping them, holding their hearts, giving them that support they needed. So it's and it can happen with us as well. So still nowadays, because Allah's help, and then we come to Allah's help. The last part, it came with Prophet Ibrahim, that he jumped in fire, and then Allah made it cool for him, and then he was ready, and he did sacrifice his son, but Allah saved his son for him. Then for Musa alayhi salam, he stood, and people say, Bani Israel said, how are we are just stuck in here. Back is Pharaoh, in front is this sea. How are we going to be saved? And when Musa stood firm, that sea parted for him. And it's the thing which can happen even now in this day and age, that if you stood firm, if you stood on your faith, Allah's help will come. And like I said, all the things which I said, that Quran, Salah, Dua, pious company, and this reward system to holding heart, sending angels, and Allah's help. If we start on working through our the responsibility of Khalifa, Allah's help will come in all these forms. Now we go to slide number 15. And like I said, we are going to talk about a married couple, and like how important they are. We know that, and how Quran preserves, try to preserve this unit, this basic unit of the Muslim society, and how to build it. I've divided into three domains, as you can see. First domain is haya and purity. Second domain is family laws, and the third domain is the rules for maintaining good relationship. And then I further divided those rules into specific rules for the married couples, and the primary rules for the character of a required human being, which Quran wants people to get through the guidance of Quran. It's called Insani Matloob. So these are the three things which we are required to do um, um, to get guidance from Quran. Then, if I come to the other slide, they are the primary rules for Quran. Their Quran can be divided into three aspects of knowledge and attitude and skill it gives. Like every institute, when you go, what do they give you? They give you knowledge, they give you attitude, and then they give you skill. Like if you see a teacher, you know that he's a teacher just by his attitude, just by his skill that he has learned to teach people properly. Or if he's a doctor, that he has this skill and he has this attitude of a doctor and he has got that background knowledge. Same way, Quran gives us knowledge, and then it builds up we get a certain attitudes, and when we work on it, then what happens? We do an amal on it, then we get skilled on it, and then what happens? It becomes our habits, and then these habits call up the character of the required human, what Quran wants. Now, if we look at it closely, we see that the knowledge which Quran gives is Tawheed, which is oneness and believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The important thing is that it's the concept of akhirah. So you have this basic concept of akhirah, and this is the concept which works because Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha said that when Quran came in the beginning, and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to give people they read Quran to them, that the first part, the last part was the first part. So what happens? Juz Amma was the first part, and that if you look at Juz Amma, most of it talks about akhirah. So the people, they'll get to listen to the akhirah, the accountability, the hellfire, the Jannah. So their hearts, they get this attachment and faith of akhirah. And then Prophet ﷺ asked them to do things, and they went on doing things. They do jihad, they left zina, they left alcohol. But Aisha said that it had been reversed, that Prophet ﷺ would have asked them to do things, stop doing things first, and then akhirah, had tried to attach them to akhirah, what would happen? They wouldn't have done it. So the thing which Prophet ﷺ did was that he created a nation who were on Tawheed and who were God-fearing. So if I come to our married life, the most important thing when you see in Quranic rulings, when they are dealing with the family laws, they revolve around the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's not a fear of a courtroom or a law. It's nothing like outwardly the world's laws and things, but it is the fear of God which is incorporated in the person. And on this, because sometimes what happens, we do injustice, we are unkind to our spouse. Even the spouse doesn't realize, he doesn't pick, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there to watch it. So the fear which we should have when we are in a relationship is the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second thing is that gratefulness. Allah says that if you're grateful, then I will give you more. So it's we should, when we marry, sometimes we focus on the negatives and we overlook the positives. What we should do, we should have a victor mentality, not a victim mentality. So nobody is without any help. We always would have choices. So this is important for us to have taqwa, to have gratefulness. And the third thing is to have this attitude of ata, which is a giver. And this is what is mentioned in Surah Layl. So this person, he has got three characteristics, that he has got fear of Allah, he's a giver, and then he just testifies whatever is truth, which we will do in the skill part. So he's a giver. And what does he give? He's a giver with charity, he forgives people, he gives his time, he gives his skill, he gives his strength. He is the person who is defined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to sell himself for the Jannah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is someone who we want to aim to be when we as a human being, what Allah wants, or if we are in a relationship, we want to be that person who has this character of ata. Then we come to this tadabbur. This is mentioned so many times in Quran. What is tadabbur? It's an introspection. So we have got eyes and we look at people, and then we we observe things and we make comments on people, but we have to develop another system, which is introspection. Instead of inspection, we have to do introspection, that is self-reflection. We have to look in ourselves. It's like, and it has to be really sharp. We have to make it razor sharp, like Ali radiallahu ta'ala anha, when he was once in a fight, and he was during the fight, he just was on the verge of killing the person. He was sitting on top, and that person spitted in the last moment. Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala immediately got up from him, saying, when he asked, why did you could have easily killed me? And he said, no, because my intention was to kill you for Allah's sake. But when you spitted on me, I was really angry. And in that moment, if I would have killed you, I would have killed you for myself. So he was so sharp on his intent. Intent is something which is hidden, but he was so sharp on it. He recognized it. We are doing tadabbur, we are pondering when we are relaxed. But in the time of heat, we forget it. And Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu was in the battle. He was he must have been fighting for some time. He must have been extremely tired, but still he had this sharp razor in tadabbur inspection that he recognized his inner self. We are more focused on people than ourselves. So we have to sharpen our skill of tadabbur. So that's why we don't think we are, all it's very easy for us to get angry, very easy for us to be, shouting, very easy for us to be upset. We don't have any tadabbur to think before our reaction. So we are reactionary people. I wanted to say, anybody who wants to say anything about tadabbur at all? Do we do introspection nowadays, or is it anybody has thought about the tadabbur?
Yes, sisters, you can use the comment section. Anybody wants to answer the question about probably tadabbur in our lifestyle? How much tadabbur would that be? All right,
Yes.
Dr. Arifa?
Yes.
Are
Yes,
we,
exactly.
in our lifestyle, how much tadabbur we do?
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean. Thank you for rephrasing it for me.
Okay, there is an answer here. Maybe when something goes wrong, then reflect on what went wrong. Yes. So when there is a problem, then we use our brains to do tadabbur. Always think before you speak. This is one of the answers. Is always think before you speak. Yes.
Exactly. So how can we do it? We can make reflective journals. We can have, we take out a me time where, each day that we have time to reflect on things we are doing, think about ourselves. And then, we can keep a reflective log, emotional log, that when each day we mention when we got angry, when we got upset, when we answered someone back, and then keep a check on yourself and see how it goes. Because in a relationship, especially because I'm talking about husband and wife relationship, it's really important to keep your tadabbur very sharp. So because we focus on how much our spouse is reacting and doing, rather than we have to change and look at ourselves, how much we are doing, and what are our mistakes and how can we rectify them. The second thing is that this character of a human being, which is required by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his another characteristic is that lizakati failun. I will mention what is amilun, lizakati amilun. There's a difference between amal and fail. Amal is something which you think and you do, but this person, it's just like a habit which he doesn't need to think. Like you flick our eyebrows, or like you move your hand while walking. It's just involuntary. So this purification process of this person is involuntary. He just does it all the time. And then another is that he stands for the truth. He's always honest. He's always truthful. He always is with the justice. Even if he's on the wrong, he will admit it. He will say sorry. And then another thing is that he will be completely submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he would, when there is a fight going on and he realizes that it was his mistake. So his characteristic, all of a sudden he submits to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He takes the feedback, he just accepts it and he just submits his will. and then he has no, he doesn't put up any arguments. And the last thing is these people are forgiving and apologizing at the same time. So when you have more knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you have more knowledge of Quran, it's your responsibility, is the responsibility comes on you to forgive more and to apologize more. Even if you're not on the right or on the wrong, still you have to apologize more. It doesn't matter. Letting go. It doesn't matter should be your common phrase. It's okay. It's fine. Doesn't matter. And believe me, by this we are doing, ihsan, a big favor on our psyche, because we have taken off a big shoulder of grudges from our shoulders, taking a big grudge weight from our shoulder, and it's a your even if your problem is not solved, if you forget people, what happens? Even if the problem is not solved, you are at rest, you are at peace. And believe, and there's difference between patience and just not being patient, or just putting up with things. Because with patience, you are at peace. You don't worry. You have leave the matter in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you look at that you are just peaceful. When you are just bearing it, you are just bottling things up. In the end, you burst out. The people with sabr never burst out. Now we come to the specific habits, and that is these are the specific rules, like you see for the marriage relationship. Uh, there's an ayah which says this word, special word, ashiru hunna bil maruf. So you have to live with your wives in a very good manner. Um, can anybody comment on what kind of a manner is expected from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala between spouses? Yeah.
That is a very thought-provoking question.
Um,
Okay, we've got
because,
one love manner.
yes, yes. Manners, yes, absolutely.
Anything else? Sacrifice,
Yes, Jazakallah. Jazakallah.
love,
Yes, very good.
understanding.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
Very good. Your attendees are all awake, even with their fast
MashaAllah.
afternoon.
Jazakallah khair.
I would add on the list as respect.
Zabardast. Sabah, you're
Respect
spot
is
on.
very important.
Yes, I'll talk about respect in detail. In fact, I think this is the most important thing which we
Yeah.
should give our spouse. And it is like it has to be very sincere respect, sincere respect with understanding. Now, first, I think, like said, thoughtful and observant. I want to give an example of my son-in-law. My daughter has recently started putting on braces, and the toilet is upstairs, so she needs to clean her teeth all the time after each meal. So she used to go up running to do the brushing and then come back. So my son-in-law got a new electric toothbrush, one for the toilet above and one for below. And it's just something. It's just a very small thing, but it's so because the thing it shows that somebody is thoughtful, somebody is observing you, and he sees what you need, and he just do it for you. Our observation and our thought, we don't observe our spouses. We live in our own world. We perceive the world from our side, but we have to see or perceive the world from our spouse's side as well. What he's thinking, what is his need? Because I was saying that when we were in medical school, in final year we used to have uh, exam, and we had used to have in medicine we had to short case and long case. Short case was the small case which we were tested on, but the long case was the patient which we had to do everything on, examine, diagnose, investigations, and treatment. And believe me, our spouse is our long case. Without passing in long case, we can't pass our exam in akhirah. So it's like Quran says, "Yawma yafirul maru min akhi wa ummihi wa abi wa sahibatihi wa bani." So the person will be running from his wife, from his son. So it's so important because these are our closest relationships. And like somebody said, appreciate it. We need to appreciate our spouses genuine appreciation for what they've done, because the children need to listen how how nice is their dad is, because it's something which is very important. It's a nourishment for them to see the parents love. The best thing a parent can give to his child or her child is to love their parent, other parent. So it's the most important thing. And then appreciate it is also because we look we look at the things they do for us. But the one who doesn't is not grateful to people is not grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we sadly what happens is our human psyche that we sit on the dirty things instead of leaving the good things for positive things, like a fly who sits on dirt. So it's if you look at this life of Prophet ﷺ, he used even to give gifts to Hazrat Khadija's friends even after her death. And once he had an argument, Aisha was jealous of Khadija, and Prophet ﷺ defended him, saying that she looked after me, she was with me, stood by my side when no one was with me. She helped me financially, and I have children with her. And it's just something which he was always manifesting even after her death. And then another thing which comes is importance, giving importance. And in my mind, it comes the story of when Aisha, the ayahs in revealed in Quran of Tayyimu. So it was when that they were traveling and in the desert when Aisha lost her necklace, and everybody was looking for it. Abu Bakr was really angry that because of his daughter, all the people had to stay and look for the necklace. And Prophet ﷺ defended him. Imagine that he cared. He really gives so much importance to Aisha. She wouldn't have a gold necklace, would she? No. But to her, it was important. So it was important for him as well. And this shows how importance he gave to his wives, that that he loved her, how much he loved her. And then giving respect, like Sabah said, it's more important than love, I would say. Because you know what? When you give someone a respect, you acknowledge them. And then when you fulfill their emotional needs, they are ready to fulfill your emotional needs. In fact, sometimes in our religious work, we complain that, husbands are not understanding. Well, we have to understand from where they're coming from. They want more of our time for them. We should fulfill their emotional needs. We should respect their what they want. And then, believe me, 99.9% of the times our problems will be solved. But we have to really respect them from heart. And then if you look at the respect, Prophet ﷺ, I know it's love also, but imagine Prophet ﷺ coming from jihad. And what he used to do, he used to go not directly to the house, but directly to masjid. And he would put perfume on himself, he would clean himself, he would put surma on his eyes for his wives. And it's something like, imagine Prophet ﷺ doing just because he had, when you meet a colleague, you meet your boss, you dress up. So this was how you Prophet ﷺ perceive his wives, subhanallah. And then this relationship is mawadda and rahma. It is like the love and affection between the couple. It is something which is so, this relationship is so beautiful. See, all Bollywood movies are based on this relationship. They give so much importance to them. We leave everybody, and then we go to our husband. So this is the relationship which has lots of love in it. And then a successful marriage has the capacity to rejuvenate again and again. And we can, it's possible for us to fall in love with the same person again and again all our lives. You have a different color of relationship when you are young, when you are newly married. Then you have a different color of relationship in your middle ages. And then you have another beautiful color of relationship when you are old. So it's like, it's beautiful to go all together, but we have to work on this relationship. Prophet ﷺ used to eat from the same place where Aisha did. Once someone asked, who is most important to you? And he said, Aisha. And then he asked, oh, and in men, and he said, her father. So even the men, he related with Aisha radiallahu ta'ala. So it just shows how, because we are shy to say who you love more. I said, my husband. So people like, it's we don't do it nowadays, but it was Prophet ﷺ, and he was in that 1400 years back society where everything was a taboo. He said that I love my wife, and then I love the man, the man I love most is her father. And then my question was that, are we expressive this much? Do we express?
You mean do we express feelings to our husbands, or
Yes,
what?
yes. Yes, I just it's not a question. I would say it's something to ponder about. Think after this finishes that am I being more expressive? And then I will go to the dress that they are like a dress, so it keeps you warm. It doesn't it's not something which is pricking you. It doesn't pinch you with any wordings and attitude. The dress makes you look beautiful. It protects you from and also it protects you financially, and then you have to protect your husband even if he's present or even if he's not away, that the spouses should be protected of their parents. And nobody is perfect. Then what happens that we have to cover each other of the imperfections, because dress covers our imperfections and nobody is perfect. And then we can wash our clothes. So relationships can be washed by saying sorry. We can mend the relationships, and we shouldn't get pride in it. But at the same time, relationships are very fragile. So we have to be really careful that we don't, break that relationship. And then we comes to the hairs, which is, a tilt or fields. So women are like your fields. It means that, it's a relationship between a farmer and his field. So this means that this relationship can come live again and again. And it's something which we have to really work on. We have to give time to it. We have to give commitment to this relationship to make it work. We come to our children now. Sorry, my slide is a bit busy, but I just want to divide our children also in three concepts that the contemporary concept about children, how we view our children, culture, and then Quranic concept. So in this time, why we want to have children, so we could love someone, so our life is complete. But then there is a cultural concept that we need inheritor, and marne ke baad, after death, our name is taken by someone, our name will continue, our lineage will continue. Although we don't remember even our great grandfather's name, I think if I ask someone, nobody would know. And then we consider sometimes our children as trophies, decorative pieces, like, oh, my son has done this and that. We just want to decorate and show them off. That's what it's very common in Asian culture. Then we have a very a twisted concept of Islamic culture. Our concept is that they are a nema, but we forget that with nema, with the blessing comes the accountability. So we are accountable for them. So we make them hafid, we can make them hit the Quran, we make them a dai, but we make them an alim. But our responsibility is to nurture them as a khalifatullah. So when they're adult, they're able to execute their function as a khalifa, but we have to take it very comprehensively, because the Anbiya, when they were dying, even they used to ask the question which is mentioned in Quran. What they used to ask? They asked, on what faith are you going to be when I die? And they said, we are going to be Muslim. We are going to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then we have two attitudes with children. One attitude is that we are either we are very hard or we are very soft. But our true concept is we have to be somewhere in the middle. Everything a soft. There's a hadith which says everything a softness can do, you can't. The hardness will not be able. You will not be able to achieve with being hard. So we have to take the responsibility of not spoiling our children. We should put responsibility of them. So what happens that they are able to do the problem solvings, and they have to get used to it, because we want to protect them from being hurt. But hurt sometimes is really important for the children to go through or navigate through life. What it says, that there's a saying which says, what hurts you is teaching you. Don't run from it, learn from it. So it's something we have to keep in mind in upbringing children. And the points which we have to keep for ourselves in mind in upbringing children is, first is qad aflaha man zakkaha, that we have to look and purify ourselves. We have to become mentors. Children need to see someone who's crying and fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's scared of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then they will learn the true fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then I love this verse, is qalat Imran, that when the wife of Imran, that is Maryam's mother, Hazrat Maryam's mother, when she conceived, she had recently become a widow. And then instead of doting on her this offspring, she made a dua that, Allah, I give my child for you. He's free from me. do we do the same? We said, no, I'm hoping to, he's my, when I get old, he's my stick for my old age. We have this wrong concept of children. So we should be like Hazrat Maryam, Maryam's mother, that we this vision that he's going to serve as Khalifatullah, and you give him, happily give him for that sake. Then Prophet Yaqub, when he made dua, Prophet Zakaria, his dua is when he made dua for Yaqub, that Allah give me a son, so he would carry out my tradition. He was a prophet. He would inherit my tradition, that he would become a prophet. So he wasn't asking the son for himself. He was asking the son to be a prophet or a messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. And we should have the same feelings when we have children. And then this is so beautiful. It says Ibrahim that when it speaks volumes. This ayah speaks volume, I would say. It's like the tarbiyah is not like you force thing on people. It's tarbiyah is that when the good things are perceived by the child as a good, bad things are perceived by the child as bad. He himself realized it. And then you look and this is a dialogue between Prophet Ibrahim and his son. So he's respectfully hinting that Allah said that, and then comes the reply. So it's it shows a lot of respect. And then another thing is that it's more focused. Sometimes I come back to UK now, because we ought to have dialogue with the children. But sometimes what happens, our first language is different than our children's English language, which becomes their first language. So we have to help our children in the beginning to get a bonding with us, with our language, because like in our language, we know 5,000 words. In English, we know 500 words. So there was even our thinking process is in Urdu. And then we lose connection with children, because for the child to develop psychologically, it's important that he connects with the parents, he connects with the thinking of the parents, and he can't because of the language difference. So it's very important for us to have the same L1, especially during the child's developmental years. I come to the end now. There are a few things which I wanted to discuss and reflect, but before it, I wanted to ask anybody who can say any input regarding the upbringing of children, anything they want to put in.
I think the sisters would like to use the mic, so please raise your hands, sisters. If you raise your hands, then we can unmute you.
Also, I wanted to say, that regarding the sacrifice for Prophet Ibrahim, he did for Ismail. Meanwhile, you think, and I'll just finish this bit as well, that, when you go to Hajj, what you see, all the things which Ibrahim did, coming up to sacrifice, that you have to sacrifice. The most beautiful thing in our lives is our children. And we have to sacrifice our children. And we have to learn that from Prophet Ibrahim, because in the way of Allah, sometimes it becomes inevitable and we don't do big sacrifices, but even small sacrifices of our children is important. Like Abu Talha Ansari, that the guest of Prophet ﷺ and his children went hungry. Or like Prophet Ibrahim, that when Allah wanted him to sacrifice his son, he was ready to do it. And then there is a story of a mother at times of Prophet ﷺ, that she brought her young son to Prophet. He was just baby. And she said, take him with you in jihad. And Prophet ﷺ asked, why do you want me to take this small child to jihad? And he said, you can use it as a shield when an arrows come to you. So she had a vision. It's not like somebody's doing something out of nowhere. So all of those people, they had a vision. Sometimes it's we have to realize that children are not like someone we have to give all the sacrifices for. We have to sometimes sacrifice children. Yeah, go on. Did anybody thought about anything coming for upbringing of children?
Surely there must be a long list of that with the sisters. I can't see any hand raised, but there might be. I think it's important to be your children's friend. Yes, understand
Yes,
and listen. Talk rather than command things, to them.
very, very
Yeah,
good. Very
that's
good. Excellent.
yeah.
Um, Talk rather than command, have a dialogue. I think this is so important. Whoever said it, I think it's really
Yes,
important because
it's
nowadays
possible.
we, yeah, Fawzia, because Fawzia said, I think Fawzia, you're so right because nowadays we try to rule our children. We want to make them do things forcefully. Um, I mean, my one question is that what is the right to start Nurani Qaida with children? Can somebody say that? The right time to start Nurani Qaida with children? Yeah. When you start children on.
Sister Termina, I've unmuted you, and I guess you might like to answer the first question because your hand was raised long time.
I suppose make them a part of a decision, include them in every decision. Don't tell them, ask them, make them feel
Yes,
they're part of that
exactly.
decision. Yeah, so you're making them feel wanted, and they're a part of that decision instead of telling them, oh, you're going to do this. No, how would you like to do this? What do you think of this? So a different perspectives on how you talk to your children
Yeah,
from a very
excellent.
early age. From a very
Very
early.
nice phrases. Yeah, go on.
So I presume if you start that at an early age, and that builds a bond with a relationship, so
Yeah,
as a bond as well, so they can come to you at a later date instead of you dictating. We become dictators when we say, no, you have to
mm,
do this. It's like, what do you think? How do you think we should go ahead and do this? So it's a mindset, isn't it? It's trying to
yeah,
do that mindset, and also let them make decisions, because when we were younger, the decisions were always made for us. So when we grow up, it's very difficult to make those decisions. So when they're younger,
subhanallah.
if they're coaxed into making decisions themselves, yeah, they'll make good and bad ones, but ultimately you can support them. So I suppose that's what I say.
Jazakallah khair. I think it's you've summarized the things very nicely that we should give authority to children to make decisions themselves because then when adults they will be able to solve their own problems rather than looking for other people to solve problems for them. Um, um, I've got these questions: order of relationships and mandatory versus non-mandatory role. But first, I wanted to ask, what is the right age to start Nurani Qaida?
Okay, Nurani Qaida, what is the right age? When they are ready to comprehend, age would be 5 or 6.
Yeah, I agree. 5 or 6 when they
So
start
what
practicing.
the prep we have to do? What I mean is that whenever you made that prep for that uh, I would say first you connect them in the story of Adam, right? And you say that we are here for a reason. Prophet ﷺ, revealed this message, and there's a story of Adam in it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us for a specific reason that we are Khalifatullah. And Adam was the first prophet and the human being who came down to this earth, and he was guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then over the period of time, we got divine guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We had got books before Quran. We had got books of guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have got the last book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is still in the right form with us. And then present him with Quran, and then say, wouldn't you want to read the guidance given to you? And when he says yes, then say, well, you have to learn it first and then hand him the Nurani Qaida. That's what I wanted to say, that you have to connect your son or daughter with the Khalifatullah's designation first, pass him through the story of Adam, coming up to Quran, and then give him Nurani Qaida. So he would know the importance of Nurani Qaida, why he is reading it. So he would be able to read Quran and get that guidance to work on his job designation, which is Khalifatullah, right?
Right.
So just another question is that uh, who uh, who is more important in order of relationships, uh, mother or a wife, as mentioned in Quran?
Interesting. So sisters can okay, there's an answer, father.
Parent, yeah,
And
definitely.
your relationship with Allah and mother for men or
Yes, yes, mashallah.
mother and father.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Yeah.
So is it mother? Is it men or women?
It's uh, uh, the parents are the parents, and the or the mother has more importance than wife, because in order of relationship you become a son first and then you became a husband. So parents has got more importance than wife. It's if you know the relationship, and then you would be able to take care of your mother and your wife, but you have to keep this order in place, which is very important. So what is another question is, who is more important, spouse or children?
Okay.
Because this is, we see it very commonly, this mistake being done. That's why I wanted to emphasize on it. Who's more important according to our, holy book?
Okay.
Spouse or children?
Nur Bibi says it's spouse. Fozia says both. Khazana says both.
We become a wife first and then we became a mother. So the first relationship comes first, a wife over a spouse. A best thing we can give our children is to be loving their father more, giving him importance. Then the children will be able to give importance more to their father. They would look up to them. So it's very important to keep the order of relationship in order. And then, what are coming to mandatory versus non-mandatory role? What is more important? I think it is easier, job or your husband, or your profession or your husband.
Say it again, please, Dr. Arfa.
What is more important? Is it your profession or your husband more important? Your job or your husband?
Okay. Well, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
That's an
Just
easy
wanted to
one.
emphasize on the relationships that it's a non-mandatory. What is non-mandatory and mandatory?
Is that a question?
Yes.
Okay. What is mandatory and non-mandatory?
Yes. Mandatory is something you are going to be accountable for. Allah will
Yes.
ask you about that relationship,
Yes.
but about that role. But non-mandatory is a role which you acquire yourself, and you're not accountable for that because you have taken it on yourself.
Yes. Yes. Voluntary.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There is well, for us to say is it different than to actually do Dr. Satya's comment, to actually do it. And then it is mandatory to cook and clean for your husband. Is it mandatory to cook and clean for your husband? That's a question for you, Dr. Arfa.
It's see, this is what we are looking for. I think most of the time, this is mandatory. This is do. I think everything is fair in love and war. So when you want to win someone, you do things for them, don't you? Look, mandatory is a relationship that there's a hadith which says if your husband asks you to lift a stone from a mountain and take it to another mountain, do it. So I won't know about the small things. No, I don't. But I think it's very important to for a good relationship to focus on yourself instead of what instead of your husband, or he has to do this, or should I do that or not. Just do it, because after a while I think it's the relationship which is more important. So because if you work on it, then only we would be able to make a Muslim society. If we have small conflicts between us, are we going to make a good society? Although it's not important, it's not necessary to cook and clean for your husband, but I think there's so many things which people do. Our husbands also do so many things which are not on mandatory on them. So but if you start judging people by this, he's do this and I do that, it's the relationship will be very imbalanced.
I think the husbands and wife normally do what they're supposed to be doing, you know. The
Yeah,
wives
yeah,
normally do that they should be cooking. It's just natural, I think. And the
yeah.
man of the house just normally do that. Look, I have to earn the bread. So it will be very uncommon and unnatural that if people start fighting over those. I
Small
think
things, yeah.
let me read some comments. The Prophet ﷺ used to help his wives with everything, and then the food wins the heart of your husband. Therefore, it's good to keep him sweet. Very good, Fozia. I think uh, I couldn't. I don't know. I think a couple need to share the responsibilities. Yes. Um, okay.
Yeah, I think everybody is right in a way, but I think the focus goes on in, with the comments, you would see that focus is on both the couple, right? By, for educational point of view, I think this is it, that both couples should work. But for our self-reflection, self-development, I think we should focus on ourselves. That's what I say, introspection. Because if we worry that my husband is not fulfilling his duty, if anybody has read Stephen Covey's Seven Habits, there's a circle of concern and circle of influence. So we go on the circle of concern. It will be increased. We won't get anything. Our importance should be on circle of influence, how we can work. So we have to work on ourselves first, what we can do. Then we can, have a good relationship because we are putting an effort in it. This is my uh, thinking, that we should work on ourselves more.
Right. Okay. It's so we are slightly over the time. So Dr.
Yeah.
Arfa, are you summing it up?
Yeah, it's just because, yeah, Jazakallah khair, everybody, for listening to me. I just wanted to sum up that, we, by now, with our this program, you must have realized that we want to redefine our role in the society. I've discussed the contemporary role, the modern day thinking of a concept of family. Then I came to our cultural concept of family. And then I defined the religious concept of a family, bringing to light all the three things. And I would, if anybody wants to give their input regarding this, I would, it would be fair enough for them. Just raise your hand if you want to give an input. But meanwhile, I finish it. That we focus how we can make our life happy, and we can easily see that by following Quran and the Islamic perspective, we can not only make our life happy and content, we can also be able to execute our duties as a Khalifatullah. While in the contemporary lifestyle, if you are stuck in cultural lifestyle, we would be living a life, but it would be a shallow life. It wouldn't be, like a truly meaningful, we wouldn't be able to lead a truly meaningful life. So we should focus on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us and how we can improve our marriage relationship.
Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Arfa. It was a very interesting session. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. And things which we do all the time, but sometimes it's very good to be reminded, and
Yeah,
so that we can all do a little bit of the dabar on it. And I mean, are we going on the right direction or not?
yeah,
And it's very true that we all have gone through a very anxious year where everybody was stuck in the house. There was homeschooling going on. There were
yeah,
husbands working. And, some husbands have never had the experience of working from home.
yeah,
Mothers never had the experience of the whole crowd at home. So,
yeah,
and I think we should salute all the mothers and all the women who have really dedicatedly went through this. And I would really want to say that especially UKIM sisters constantly doing all the jobs that they were supposed to do, while not stopping for a day, working for the community. Excellent session, mashallah. We've learned a lot because of all the reminders you gave us. Is there any appeal today, Edmund? I don't think there's an appeal today. So it's a day off for the appeal. And you, as you know, that you can, we are on Instagram, on Facebook, so you can get in touch with us. And I think we should finish now. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.